Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Wednesday, probably about 12 hours or so after Arsenal continued their fine winning form in pre-season, this time a 3-1 success against Orlando City over in America. Hold my hands up, I didn't watch the whole game, I was thinking about it, and then there was the thunderstorm which delayed kick-off by initially half an hour, then another 30 minutes. And I was like, I can't stay up and watch all this. There's just no way I was going to get through it all. So, but I watched it all. I watched the highlights today, everything that I could see from the game, and another positive win. The first half seemed a little bit so-so. Second half, after the introduction, certainly of players like Gabriel, Jesus, Martin Odegaard, Arsenal just seemed an awful lot better. And against, an Orlando City side who are in the middle of their season, or certainly up and running in their season. And, fitness-wise, you'd expect they're quite a bit ahead of Arsenal in terms of that. So it was a good contest for Arteta's side. And, they did pretty well. Goals from Martinelli, Eddie Nketiah. And I have totally forgotten who scored the third goal, which is pretty bad considering I watched it. Reece Nelson. Of course it was Reece Nelson scoring the volley from Bukayo Saka's cross. So lots of positives, I think, to take from it. Mikel Arteta seemed happy when he spoke about it after the game. Certainly said, admitted first half they were maybe a little bit sloppy, a little bit off the pace. And but second half they improved, took control of the game, created chances and got the win. And just continues a positive sort of theme of pre-season so far. I sort of mentioned it in a video a couple of videos ago. I think that last season you couldn't buy a win in pre-season. It was just draw or defeat. But it's completely different this time around. Obviously, the hardest game is going to be in a few days' time when they play Chelsea. But still, you can only beat what's in front of you. And they comfortably saw off Everton and, saw off Orlando City yesterday as well. So I can imagine Mikel Arteta is very, very happy and satisfied at the moment with how pre-season is going. And he's going to have a new player to add to that to his ranks very, very soon. Oleksandr Zinchenko, as I presumed he probably would be, was at the game last night. It hasn't been officially announced yet. It might be by the time you're watching this video, but the actual proper confirmation from Arsenal that he has been signed hasn't come through yet. But he was pictured watching the game with Edu yesterday. Fans were taking photos of him. Mikel Arteta even spoke about it after the game. He said there are still a few formalities to get everything completed, but we're really happy to have him. I know the player really well. He's an exceptional footballer, and he is someone that is going to bring as well another competitive edge to the dressing room. When Mikel Arteta is talking about players before they've officially been announced, that it is already a fully done deal. He was asked about his position, which is something I spoke about in previous videos. Yes, I think everyone's expecting him to come in and, provide cover and competition for Kieran Tierney, but he's definitely going to provide another option in midfield as well. And Mikel was asked about what his best position was, left back or midfield. He said he can play both. He was a natural number 10 earlier in his career, and we converted him into a left back. He's talking about his time at Manchester City there, which he can do a lot of things that we want in our way of playing. That versatility is something that is going to be important for the team because we have players in that position who are more specific fullback. So I'm really happy. And again there, that little line right at the end, we have more players who are more specifically left back, fullbacks. He's talking about Kieran Tierney there. And it just, again, reading that, it just makes me think if everyone's fit, I still have a feeling that it's going to be Tierney at left back and Zinchenko playing higher up the pitch in the midfield role. But we'll wait and see. Hopefully we'll get to see Zinchenko in action against Chelsea because he's been with Manchester City, so he's fit. He's not had a pre-season or anything like that. He's just flown over from Man City's training camp to Arsenal's training camp. So as long as it all gets signed and done in time, then you would hope that we're going to see our first look at Zinchenko in that Chelsea game, and it'll be very, very interesting to see exactly where he lines up in that match. I mean, at the moment, Tierney's out with an injury, so it might just be that he goes slot straight in at left back. But Tavares is playing as well at the moment, so he could still play in that midfield position. Waiting for the announcement. It could come today. I don't know. Everyone is over in the States at the moment. By the time I'm recording this video, everyone's asleep. So I don't know. I haven't had any sort of confirmation through from talking to people about exactly the plan for the announcement. It might be today, but we'll have to wait and see. You can never second guess when it comes to an announcement with Arsenal. You can find out at some point. You find out, it's going to be 10 a.m. in the morning, and then 10 a.m. ticks by, it's not, and you find out it's been delayed for another day sometimes. So it's impossible to second guess when it comes to announcements with Arsenal. But I think we are all can all be safe in the knowledge that this one is coming and that Zinchenko will soon be confirmed as an Arsenal player. I'm happy about it. Judging by your comments, you are happy about it. So yeah, exciting times for Arsenal. Mikel spoke about a lot of things in his press conference after the game, obviously about their match itself and the performance, but he was asked, as always away at this time, about transfers. It obviously had the Zinchenko questions, but it was also asked, about more signings. What are the chances of further additions after Zinchenko? He said, I don't know. It's what we have today. We have a large squad, so we have to make some decisions as well on players that are not going to be using consistently. Be fair and straight with them, and that's a process that is going to start very soon. We are still in pre-season. The window is not closed. The squad is not closed. As I said in yesterday's video, I still feel that after Zinchenko, one more signing at least is probably on the agenda for Arsenal. As I said again yesterday, you'd think out of all the areas that they're targeting, it will be the right winger. We know they tried for Rafinha. That shows very, very blatantly that they want to improve in that area of the squad. And you just put two and two together, you think that's what they're going to. There will be other players on the list. It's not just going to be Rafinha and no one else. They'll have other targets. It's just a case of now pushing on and trying to get those ones, which I think that will be where they look at after Zinchenko is done. Arteta there, absolutely talking about the players that have to go, and that is going to be a big, big priority now because 115 million's been spent already this window. If you include the Zinchenko fee, they've barely brought anything in significantly in terms of outgoings. They need to move players on. It's really, really important. Mikel is, it's just as important to Mikel as buying players now because he wants a settled, motivated, happy squad, and he's not going to have that if he's got 4, 5, 6 players even who are not going to get many minutes, who are going to be just in and around the training ground every day, not really motivated because they know they're not going to play, unhappy players, and that just doesn't lead to anything good. So he wants to get players out, and he was quite forceful when he was talking about that in those comments that which I just mentioned to you earlier. He knows that that's a process that has to start now. When you're talking about Bellerin, Pepe, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Pablo Mari, Lucas Torreira, who left the squad yesterday. There have been suggestions that he's gone over to Italy. I haven't had those verified yet. Mikel wasn't open to discussing those in the press conference last week. He just said that Lucas Torreira is our player. So we'll wait and see if it emerges where exactly Lucas Torreira has gone in the last 24 hours. Because there have been suggestions he wasn't at the match yesterday and he has left the training camp. Again, I haven't been able to confirm any of that yet. So if I do, then I'll bring it to you on my social media and Twitter. But these are the sort of players that Arsenal have to move on because it just doesn't do anyone any good with them being around. Arsenal managed to do it towards the end of the window last summer. There was loans going off everywhere, players having their contracts cancelled, things like that. But Arsenal were going to have to try and do something similar again. Hopefully not cancelling contracts or anything like that, because you want to get money actually into the club. And there's players there who you could potentially generate some decent funds, especially when you look at Pepe, Torreira, Mari, Leno, Maitland-Niles. There's money there to be made. It's just a case of getting these deals done. Not always easy. Arsenal struggled at it in the past. We know that. Maybe other clubs have seen how Arsenal have dealt with these situations in the past and are thinking, well, why are we going to bid a load of money now? They might just pay us to take them for free sooner rather than later, which hopefully isn't the case. But Arsenal, the fact is Arsenal have done that sort of business before, and other clubs are not stupid. They will know that, and maybe they are trying to play a little bit of the game and seeing how things go on towards the end of the window. But hopefully Arsenal can get some really decent money in because they need it. They've spent an awful lot. They've spent 145 million last summer. They spent 115 million already this summer. And let's face it, they've pretty much got peanuts in return for these players. So they've got to start generating some sort of funds from player sales, and hopefully that will happen soon. And it is absolutely viewed as a priority. Arteta knows it, Edu knows it, and let's see what they can do over the coming weeks before the window shut. We're not actually that far away from the end of the window now. I was looking at it today. We're only about... It's the 20th of July, I think, today, isn't it? So, about 6 weeks, just under 6 weeks till the end of the window. It is moving pretty quickly. Very positive, actually, the fact that there's only 6 weeks left of the window. The season's still two weeks away from starting, and Arsenal have done an awful lot of business in terms of incomings. Their squad is looking very, very settled already. Still work to be done, no doubt about it. But I think in terms of shaping up for the start of the season, they're in quite a good place, I would think, Arsenal. It's just a case of maybe one more through the door, but then getting rid of this bloated squad, which hopefully they will start to do very, very soon. Let me know what you guys think. Who should go? Who should stay? how much money should Arsenal be getting for some of these players that they're looking to move on? Let me know, as always, with anything I'm saying in this video in the comments below. A few more comments from Mikel Arteta afterwards. William Saliba, another impressive performance last night. I woke up this morning, I think it was about sort of 5:30. I checked my phone and saw immediately William Saliba was trending on Twitter. I was like, oh no, what's happened here? You never know at that stage, has something bad happened or something good happened, and it was something good. Another good performance from Saliba. Arsenal fans very impressed with what they saw from him in that second half yesterday. Mikel, speaking about him after the game, he was asked about his contract situation. He said, we always have a plan, and when we have to execute it, that's a different story, and football is a really funny game, and we are really happy to have him, and you can see the way he's adapted, the way he's matured, and he's playing well. We are delighted to have him. Look, getting William Saliba's contract sorted is absolutely essential, in my view. Yes, it's been a slow start. I think that's an understatement to his Arsenal career, given he's still not played a competitive match for him, even though they signed him 3 summers ago. But there's no doubt Arsenal have got one of the most talented defenders in Europe, young defenders in Europe on their hands here. They've got to get him tied down to a new contract. They've got to start trusting him and playing him now. The signs are good this pre-season in terms of how much we're going to be seeing from William Saliba. But from his point of view, from his agent's point of view, you can understand, at this stage they'd be pretty reluctant, because they'd be like, well, you've not really given us any reason to trust you in the last 3 years, so let's wait and see what happens. So it might not be the easiest thing to do, and I can understand, like I said, from the player's point of view, he'll be wanting to see what happens in these next few weeks and as the season gets underway. But for Arsenal, they've just got to show that they trust him, that they believe in him, and that this is a place for him to really start building his career. And the signs have certainly been good, and I've been really impressed with the way he settled in, because it's a very different club even now to the one which he was at briefly last summer before he made that move to Marseille. He was very close to Lacazette, Aubameyang back then. They've gone. The majority of the French speakers are gone, and so he's come back, and it's a very different changing room now. And you kind of wondered if he was going to fit straight back in and stuff like that, but he seems to have settled well. It seems to have a good relationship with Gabriel Jesus from what you see in the videos and things like that. And positive to see him playing well, and hopefully we're going to see really, really big things from William Saliba in the coming season. One last thing I wanted to talk about, which I think is really, it's been one of the bright points of pre-season so far for me, is that relationship between Eddie Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus. I think that looks really encouraging for the season. I don't think it's something we're going to see from the start too often in games, because the 4-3-3 formation doesn't really lead to that unless you're going to be playing one of them out wide, which, let's face it, I don't think any of us want to see. If Nketiah or Jesus are starting, you want to see him as a central striker. But when they are on the pitch together, they seem to be gelling really well. They have a good relationship. They combined for the goal yesterday. Yes, I know it was a kind of tackle on Jesus which fell to Nketiah, but it was just how close the two of them were in the box that Nketiah was able to sort of seize on the scraps after Jesus had been tackled, and you saw the way they celebrated after the game together. I go back to the match in Germany and the goals that Jesus scored and the role that Nketiah played in some of them. It just looks like they've got a really good understanding, that they work really well together, and it's going to be really important, I think, for Arteta next season, because if you do need to turn things around, say in the second half, you want to play with two strikers, to have that option to be able to do that, I think is going to really benefit Arsenal, especially when you think there's 5 substitutions next season. I think subs are going to be so key in being successful in the Premier League next season. And I really like what I'm seeing in this pre-season from Nketiah and Jesus. I mean, Nketiah's goal was a very nice finish yesterday. He's got 4 for this pre-season now, including the hat-trick he scored against Ipswich. Jesus has got 3. Nketiah's got assists as well. So's Jesus, and it just looks really encouraging for those two. It's good to see Martinelli score, albeit by a deflection, but still good to see him get on target yesterday as well, because I want to see some decent amount of goals from Gabriel Martinelli, around the 15 goal mark, hopefully, for him during the coming season. Alright, that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. As I said, anything you've heard, disagreed with, agreed with, anything you want to say, have a go. Drop a comment in the box below. Have a very good day. Hopefully we'll get a Zinchenko announcement in the next 24 hours or so. But like I said, you just never know when it comes to Arsenal. But it will arrive. Have no doubts. Alright, everyone, have a very good day. I'll speak to you soon.